Anger can be one of the most destructive emotions if left unchecked. In this story, a young man seeks guidance from a wise Zen master to overcome his anger issues. Through profound lessons and simple exercises, he learns how to transform his rage into calmness. Watch till the end to discover how.
On a serene afternoon in the mountains, a young man named Rio arrived at the Zen monastery, his face tense and his fists clenched. He sought out the Zen master, known for his profound wisdom and calm demeanor. As Rio approached, the master sat by a tranquil pond, gazing at the reflection of the sky and the water. "Master," Rio began, his voice shaking with frustration, "I've traveled far to seek your guidance. My anger consumes me. It flares up at the smallest things, and I end up hurting those I care about. How do I control it?" The Zen master observed him calmly and gestured for him to sit. "Rio, let me tell you a story," the master said with a gentle smile. "Long ago, in a village nestled in the valley, there was a mighty storm that swept through every season. The storm would rage without warning, destroying crops, uprooting trees, and causing chaos. The villagers lived in fear of it, unsure when it would strike. One day, a wise sage visited the village. He saw their plight and said, "I will help you understand the storm." He took the villagers to a high cliff overlooking the valley and asked them to watch. As the storm approached, the sage said, "Observe the clouds and the wind. See how it thrashes wildly, trying to conquer everything in its path. But what happens when it strikes the mountain?" The villagers watched as the storm hurled itself against the mighty mountain. It raged and roared, but the mountain stood unmoved. Gradually, the storm exhausted itself and passed. The sage turned to the villagers and said, "The storm is your anger. It is powerful and destructive, but it has no control over you unless you allow it. Be like the mountain, and the storm will lose its strength." Rio frowned. "Master, that sounds wise, but when anger rises, it's like a fire in my chest. I can't simply be a mountain. It feels impossible." The master chuckled softly. "Let me show you something." He handed Rio a small bucket and led him to the pond. "Fill this bucket with water," the master instructed. Rio did as he was told. The master then gave him a large stone and said, "Drop this stone into the bucket." Rio hesitated, but dropped the stone. Water splashed out violently, drenching his hands and feet. "Now," said the master, "take the stone out and fill the bucket again." Rio complied. His curiosity piqued. This time, the master handed him a small pebble. "Now drop this pebble into the bucket." Rio dropped the pebble. It caused a gentle ripple, but no water spilled over. The master smiled. "You see, Rio, your anger is like the stone. When your mind is small, like the bucket, even a small provocation causes you to overflow. But when your mind is vast, like this pond, even a large stone cannot disturb you. Expand your mind, and your anger will lose its power." "How do I expand my mind, Master?" Rio asked earnestly. The master gestured toward the pond. "Each time you feel anger rising, do not act immediately. Instead, imagine yourself as the pond, vast and calm. Reflect on the source of your anger as you would the reflection of the sky. Ask yourself, why does this make me angry? What am I truly feeling?" Most often, anger is a mask for hurt, fear, or frustration. Understanding it will make it smaller. Rio listened intently. The master continued, "Remember this. Anger is like an arrow you shoot at others, but it burns you first. The harm it causes you is far greater than the harm it causes others. Each time you let anger consume you, it is you who suffers the most." The young man nodded slowly, understanding dawning on his face. I see now, Master. Anger has been my storm, my stone, and my arrow. I must learn to master it, not let it master me. The Master smiled. Exactly, Rio. Begin by practicing patience. Pause, breathe, and reflect. Like the storm against the mountain, let anger pass through you without moving you. In the days that followed, Rio stayed at the monastery, practicing meditation and mindfulness. Whenever anger stirred within him, he remembered the storm, the bucket, and the arrow. Slowly but surely, he found himself calmer, his mind clearer, and his heart lighter. Years later, Rio became known in his own village as a man of unshakable calm, a mountain amidst storms. And so, the Master's lesson lived on, teaching not just Rio, but many who came after him, that anger, like a storm, can only pass if we let it.
Before we wrap up, if you found value in this message, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Share it with someone who might need a little motivation. And of course, hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on more uplifting content.